brown cow, brown chicken, 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 brown cow. This is fun. Chicken, brown cow, brown chicken, brown cow.
Welcome to the Brown Chicken Brown Cow Show. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monkey Mackany. I'm really excited to be here because we have a great show for you today. And I have one of my co-hosts here that we've been traumatizing before we went on the air.
Yes. Hi, everyone. It's me, Jessie.
Hi, Jessie.
I'm slightly traumatized. We are doing different cartoon voices and implying sexual things about them, and I just don't feel comfortable with having my childhood, ransacked.
Completely destroyed.
Just ravaged.
Yeah, well, mine was completely destroyed, when I saw my father dressed up as Goofy.
Please tell me that is real. Don't you fucking lie to me, monkey.
What?
Did that happen to you?
I'm not... I
need to know how much...
So... I need to know how much is real. You're just trying to... Hey, you know what? They've been trying to put together a dossier on me for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's... All right. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry.
Well, my wife, who I've been with for 20-ish years, she still hears new material almost daily.
Yep.
So
I understand that.
She doesn't know if I'm actually really her husband anymore or not.
I totally understand that. That's how I feel about my fiance.
Yeah.
He's also an improviser.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
You're always looking for the funny, or my motto is funny first.
Funny first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good motto. I like that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it does get me in trouble from time to time.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Here's the person that I get in trouble with most of the time. She'll probably wave. There she goes.
Oh. Hello.
Yeah. She just walked in the room if you hadn't guessed. Anyway, so today we have a really great show, and it's a really great topic, and it's a friend of mine who I adore, and she's fantastic and wonderful and does crazy voices, and we really riff well together when we're together, as
I've
you
noticed.
Just learned, and we're traumatized.
Unfortunately.
Her name is Jessica Fantasia. Hello, Jessica.
Hello.
Hey, Jessica.
How are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
And this is going to be first of many times you're going to appear on the show, from what I guess.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, because I just love the way that you and I kind of work together and riff and just go kind of nutty, and things can go off the rails. But we will try to pull them back and get through some of the topic that we have planned today.
I'll just slap you both around a little bit. A little bit of slappage.
A little bit of a slappage. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself and who you are?
Sure. My voice probably doesn't sound like a Jessica on the recording, but my name is Jessica Fantasia. That's the name I go by. My sort of, for lack of a better term, female alter ego. Mm-hmm. I'm a cross-dresser, sort of part-time female, mm-hmm. but I live as a male, and when most of my life as a male, I don't plan to transition anything like that. But I'm sure that's a can that will open up.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So tell me more. This probably goes way back, and you probably have a lot of different layers to this. But what is kind of the genesis of Jessica?
Yeah. So when I was about 4 years old, it's my furthest memory back. I used to put on my mom's clothes and put on her makeup, and and I had female cousins who were my age, and we'd play dress up too. And it was always a thing where it was something I really wanted to do, but it was very shameful at the same time because I'm a boy. I'm not supposed to like those girly things. That's gross. Girls have cooties.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, yeah.
So, it continued through adolescence. Eventually it was paired with masturbation and all that. Mm-hmm. And then, boy, I could take you the short way or the long way. But anyway, there was shame always involved in it. Up through the time I was about 19 or 20. Then I started meeting others. That's when the internet really boomed, and people were connecting in ways that they'd never connected before, and sharing things about themselves they couldn't, they didn't have a forum for before.
Well, back in the 80s, early 90s, and when we were younger, because I know you're close to my age, there was really no outlet. There was, if you said something, you got beat up or called a fag or whatever it was, and it became, shaming nonstop. And so you had that in your own head. You had that from society, and you had that from your friends and family around you. So you're right. You probably had to hide quite a bit of it.
I think when you're when you're an adolescent male, I think the worst name you can possibly be called is a fag.
Yeah.
It's horrible, but I think that's certainly I recall that. I mean, and the worst name that you could call somebody else was a fag, a male. Of course, females, the bitch or whatever. And now I know that part of me is a quote fag, and that's cool.
Well,
Now I embrace it.
Well, reclaiming it and embracing it is one thing, right?
Sure.
So that you're able to give it a new power.
Sure.
Very similar to the polyamory community calling embracing slut,
Right.
Hell
ethical
yeah.
slut, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's like no, that's not. We're not going to let you control that from here on out. In the black community, with the way they use their language about each other, so I mean, we all have our own little bubbles that we're trying to reabsorb and recreate. So,
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, there are still kids today having issues, and don't get me wrong, we see both sides of the coin, right? Some kids are able to have a very supportive family and are able to explore their gender identity different than we were able to.
And I think that's becoming more and more common too. I mean, especially with more and more trans people in the limelight. I mean, Laverne Cox, and
Yeah.
I mean, her name escapes me. Is it Lena Dunham, the one that spoke at the Democratic National Convention last year?
Is Lena Dunham trans, or is she
No.
genderqueer?
I don't know. I thought she was. You're talking about the one woman on Girls?
I don't know that show.
Showgirl.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Was it Lena Dunham?
and even dare I say it, Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
I mean, the more just the awareness. I mean, I have my own personal feelings there, and they're not really all that strong. But just the more people that are out and reinforcing to society at large that it's not a weird thing. It's not a taboo thing.
Yeah.
Although it still is. I think it's becoming less and less of that.
Absolutely. So we kind of touched on this a little bit just now, but what are some other issues that you've had to overcome, or maybe you still do as Jessica?
You're talking about when I'm actually in that mode, because as I sit here today, I don't have makeup on and a wig and
Right.
women's clothes and all of that. But is that what you mean? Like
I guess either when you're talking about it, or maybe when you're witnessing transphobia, for instance, or just as Jessica. I guess just any old time. It's kind of a broad question.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need a narrower question. If that's
Sure.
that's
No,
okay,
of course. So,
don't mean to be difficult.
so maybe just as Jessica, what are some issues? What kind of discrimination do you face, or maybe,
okay.
generally. Yeah.
So I used to have a so as I've said, part of getting older, growing up, and was really learning to accept and embrace the fact that I'm not 100% male. I've got a female part of me, very important part of me. Now I don't express that every day, obviously, but a job I used to have back in about 2000, I had already met quite a few other trans people back then, and learned that there was a huge support network out there.
Yeah.
And so I put a picture of myself and some friends, all in our girlied up mode, along with some other pictures at my cubicle, my workstation at work. That was a big step for me.
Yeah, that is a big step.
And so people would come by, my coworkers, and they'd say, "Well, who's that?" And I'd say, "That's me."
Wow.
Most people, this was in Davis,
Uh-huh.
so Davis, California, very, for the most part, very
Liberal. Yeah.
accepting, progressive people, exactly. But once in a while, you'd get the look like awkward, and then they'd walk away quietly, and then
Wow.
I
Yeah.
guess it's more telling about them than.
Well, more recently, it's a different experience. I went to Burning Man a few years ago, and some of the fun about Burning Man is there's some cross-dressing and stuff. So I had that my LBD, little black dress, that I went out on a playa in.
Awesome.
And I'm a big burly guy, but I'm like, I'm going to be sexy. It's going to be fantastic. So I got all dressed up. We actually went out with one of my girlfriends and found dresses and went out on a playa and put on the dress. And I was sharing this with someone from the gym, one of the coaches or one of the trainers, I suppose it were. He's like, "Why would you put on a dress?" I'm like,
Why not?
that's exactly
you
what I
worn
said.
them?
Why wouldn't I put
A
on a
lot
dress?
of them are quite comfortable.
I said, you know what, it was fun. We were having a good time. It was something different. We were exploring things differently. I don't get it. I don't know why you do that. I'm like, and then I realized he was just out of the military, just moving through, stepping into his life. He's in his early 20s, probably 19, 20 years old. Just doesn't have his mind around that, but I felt him recoil.
He was at Burning Man?
No, he
No,
wasn't.
he
at
was-
Burning Man.
he
He
was
was at
at-
the gym more recently.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, but I got to see a little bit of that recoil in the face and in the mind going, I don't understand why this big burly guy would want to put on a dress, you know? So it was just a moment for me going, I hope I opened his mind just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I hope so too.
It kind of traces back to some really toxic masculinities. There's this kind of, for women, it's more acceptable to be a little bit more masculine presenting and kind of wear more masculine things and do more masculine things. And it's, not really questioned a whole lot. It's more acceptable. But when you're a cisgendered male, it's so not acceptable to there's this very hard line, and wearing a
Right.
dress is one of those things that's over the line, or being with another man is something that's over the line. And it's so interesting. It just leads back to
And you brought up two very, very related but very different points: is the gender identity and then the sexual orientation, which I think with everybody it's woven, but it's still pretty a distinct thing.
yeah.
And I almost feel like with, for example, going back to the discrimination thing, I went on a date with a girl. God, this was probably 12 years ago or so. And she told me that she's bisexual, like right off the bat. We met at my doctor's office. She was like the receptionist. And we just got these conversations there when I'd go for a doctor's visit. Asked her out. We got to talking. She told me she's bisexual. I said, I am too. Back then, I don't think pansexual was even a thing.
Was a term,
or
yeah.
a known word.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think, a lot of people, blah, blah, blah. It's really, really kind of rare for men to admit it, but, good for you. And I was like, oh, thanks. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Then we got to talking more, and I told her about Jessica. She weirded out.
Everybody has a
Wow.
line, right?
Yeah, that just went way across her line. She said, I don't think I can date you anymore.
Wow.
Wow.
Jeez, I'm sorry you had that
So,
experience.
well, it happened, and
And it's not really bigotry. It's just someone's personal line that they go, I'm not quite ready for that.
right,
Yeah.
right, and
But a lot of-
I guess it's up to me to respect that she has a boundary there, and if she's not comfortable with going on another date, knowing that about me, then we both need to move on.
Right.
Right. Well, for you, it's like, would you want to date someone who is having such strong reservations about it? I'm not
Right.
trying to make up your mind for you, but it's like it's a balance.
Good point.
It seemed maybe her boundaries were rooted in some kind of bigotry, or maybe her boundaries are valid, but but then for you get to make the choice. Like, is that a person that I want to be in an intimate relationship with? Is that and it's all kind of a lot of variables going into it.
Right.
So okay, so you kind of talked about how it's affected your dating life a little bit. What about your friends or family knowing about Jessica?
Yeah, I think the first person I ever came out to, as far as my female side, is a coworker back when I was about 18 or 19 at a record store. And she was just way cool. Oh my God, you've got to come over. I want to dress you up. It was so fun.
You're like, yes,
So
please.
fun. After that, I think I saw a therapist, and then, really never had any bad responses from friends. Family, most of my friends actually now know, and they're fine.
That's awesome.
Or if they're not fine, then I don't know, and that's probably even better.
What was your experience with a therapist? Were they encouraging or kind of discouraging?
The very first therapist I went to, he was this guy in Fresno, where I grew up, unfortunately. He must have been about 85, 90 years old, not even exaggerating. He's been in the psychiatric psychology profession for just centuries. and this got back in about 1996, I want to say. So I had already been seeing him because I have some anxiety issues that I was seeing him about. So I brought that up. I'm thinking they're probably interrelated. Maybe something can get resolved, or at least explore. So he said, you know, you got to stop that. I said, well, I don't know. My mom has clothes and makeup, and I try them on and stuff, and it excites me. But I also feel like I want to explore that more because it's not just. I feel like there's more than just a sexual component to it. There's some deeper something there. He said, well, you absolutely need to stop it. Think about it like this. Bill Clinton was sexualizing and harassing women for so many years.
What?
And he is just a bad person. Yeah.
But how is that related? I'm so confused.
And he decided one day that he just had to stop it. And then he became the president.
But
Oh.
wait, that's not even
Well,
okay. What?
There's nothing's connected
It's
there.
comical,
yeah.
isn't it? It's comical.
Oh,
And
Grandpa.
so, in my mind, I need to see a new therapist.
Yeah, God, that sucks.
And
Yeah.
reboot.
Yeah, jeez. Bill Clinton.
But most of my experiences with therapists have been very positive. I mean, I think he was really an anomaly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I hope so. I hope so.
Well, let's talk a little bit about maybe talk about your time as Jessica, and are you wanting to expand your time as being Jessica?
I see. I would say at this point, no. I'm 43. I feel like if I had the compulsion or had it in me to want to transition, take it further as a full-time thing, I would know by now.
Okay.
And I don't feel that. I know for a lot of people, they transition much later in life than even 43, and it's still the right thing for them to do. And by all means, it's never too late, even to go back to school or something.
Yeah, of course.
If it's in you, fucking do
Do
it,
it.
right? But no, I mean, I've considered that. I've thought about it. I think with people who transition, they really don't like themselves as the gender that they were born and have presented themselves as, up until they transition, and they just not their thing. I don't have that. I like being male. I like being able to sort of flick a switch. It's really kind of a luxury as well, because people who are trans in that they transition, they don't have that luxury,
Right.
right? They feel that they are a woman or a man inside, and they'll do everything to get there to bring them the inner self out.
Right.
And there's no fluidity. There's no going back and forth.
Right.
I do have the back and forth, and
It's almost like a
I like it.
duality.
it is.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I don't know that I have any multiple personality disorder, so never been diagnosed.
You don't black out when you become Jessica, like
No,
I don't know what happened.
only if I drink too much, or if I'm hanging out with Bill Cosby, maybe.
Oh shit, we went there.
Puddin'
Oh,
pops,
shit. Puddin' pops.
Flizzum, flopsum, flip,
Flizzum
flop, flop.
flops.
Oh, I'm going. That's wrong.
I'm gone. Oh shit. All right.
Yeah, let's go and do this one.
Dust that off. No, we're still doing
Fat
it.
Albert. Here you go.
I'm trapped. I'm trapped in the middle.
You're not trapped.
Wow, that's really interesting.
I'm looking over the shoulder at the professor, just saying, "Hi, professor. How you doing?"
That meant 2 minutes, Sean,
2 minutes to what?
Dose minutes.
to
So-
the 20-minute mark.
Oh, good for me. Okay. Wow.
Your screen is shivering.
It's just
That's
nervous.
weird.
That
It's nervous. It's
strobe
like 2
light.
minutes. Fuck.
yeah. Yeah. My little monitor here is jumping all around like a crazy thing now. So there we go. There we go.
So I'm wondering. So okay, we kind of talked a little bit more about your dating life a little bit. What about how do you kind of infuse it into your sex life? I'm doing this thing with my shoulders.
She's getting all sexy.
I'm
in the
doing my
shoulder
sex
roll.
shimmy.
Ba-ba-ba-boom.
This is how I get all the people.
This is how we get all the people. I got to try trying that.
Yeah, I didn't even have a filter, just all the people.
Here we
yeah,
go.
so
I'm doing it.
so you don't have don't
None of the
don't
people
get
are
you don't have to
coming.
get specific. There's all the shimmy. Let's just take a shimmy break. I can tell we need to get it out of our systems.
Okay, well, there we go.
Shimmy.
Now we're all shimmying.
We're all doing it. Anyway, my question stands.
Okay,
Oh, what was the question? I'm sorry. I was shimmying there.
I'm gonna object. No.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how you're kind of infusing Jessica into your sex life, or how that kind of manifests.
Yeah. So I would consider myself pansexual. Like females, males,
Noise.
and everyone in between, and everyone outside that spectrum. But
Noise.
that attracts me. So
Yeah. Why the fuck not?
what's that?
I said, why the fuck not?
Why the
Which
fuck
is my philosophy
not?
about it.
Exactly.
Flavors.
Variety. Spice of life.
I'm married now to a woman. I have been for, how long have we been married? 11, 12 years, something like that. She's the love of my life. She's my center.
No.
And marriage is not an easy thing. So we've been through hell together, which means something pretty important. But we're also open. So, and we've been open since the day we met. She dates people occasionally. I date people occasionally. I mostly date men.
Yeah.
But also I've dated females and fallen in love. Which is sort of outside the boundaries of what's okay with our marriage, so it's been a source of contention.
Yeah.
But with the Jessica thing specifically, most people that I've dated when I'm Jessica they consider themselves straight men, cis men. They're usually married, so it's scandalous, and they're sneaking around. And those are usually the ones that don't call back the next day. But 3 months later, they're calling and texting my phone.
Back for more.
Want to see you again. Not probably the most healthy approach to romantic. Yeah.
People get their
sex
needs
life.
met all these
Yes.
different places.
Yes.
So earlier you brought up Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes.
Now, Caitlyn has definite political leanings, but she did really help put a huge spotlight on this topic. What are your balancing for these two elements? Because I feel that Caitlyn's way more conservative.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it feels like a diametrically opposed ideology.
I think I tend to agree with you to some extent. So I'm not obviously, but I'm very politically the opposite of Caitlyn Jenner. And most of the trans people I know are as well, not conservative.
Right.
But I think with Caitlyn Jenner, I am absolutely ecstatic that someone of, when she was Bruce Jenner, someone of that that level of fame in that spotlight came out as trans, and we watched her transition, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I don't know necessarily that she's a role. I've heard a lot of trans people say that they hate Caitlyn Jenner, and I can understand it. I try to approach it as she's very Republican. She's come out, very expressive and said she's a Republican, and nothing against Republicans listening to this show. You're all probably fantastic people. When we're not talking. Anyway, no, I take that. I'm just kidding. But I think with having such a prominent figure in the trans community be a Republican, it shows that, you take any group of people who are linked by some commonality. So we'll take trans people, for example. I think that the more diverse that group is within itself, I think it's a sign of power. It's a sign that it's not just some little small community that all think like each other. There's some diversity in there, and I think that's actually kind of healthy.
I can see what you're going for there, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that she has, come forth and said that she wants to help Donald Trump, on the LGBT front. I know he hasn't taken her up on that, unfortunately, but I mean, good for her. Use that fame for progressive purposes.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I understand what you're talking about, because recently I had to change my way of thinking in the poly community here in Sacramento, polyamory community. People have found us. We are over 1,500 strong now, just in the Sacramento area, for the poly community.
It's spreading.
It's spreading. It's getting
doing
wider. More knowledge and more people are accepting of it, or saying, let's see if this is something for us. And that let's see if this is something for us brings people who are coming from further outside Sacramento, is what I'm noticing. I'm getting to a point here, that are maybe in a more rural setting. and they may have been in the swinger community for a while, and they come in to see if poly works for them, and they have more conservative values. And so in my mindset, I'm like, okay, we're all progressives, we're all liberals, we're all ready to party and have fun, and we all agree.
It
Is not the case. And just like the way everybody does poly, or does their life, or does whatever they want to do, just a little differently, allows us to learn from everybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
I've got a good friend who's in the same boat as me in that she is part-time. Are we running out of time?
No.
Okay. Part-time, lives as male, but part-time female. She's very, very conservative. And we talk politics quite a bit, especially on Facebook. But even in person and through text, you know, and we're always jabbing at each other,
Okay.
you know, and it's all in good fun, but it does get heated. And I think the issue, I think for her, politics and political leanings and all that, who you vote for, she has priorities that are not like mine. Hers are Second Amendment, keeping government out of everyone's lives, although I think that's quite a hypocritical stance, but we can go into that another time. But yeah, I just think for her and people of that ilk, it's, you know, maybe it's just not like a one issue thing. Their priorities are different.
They're just different based on where you are and how you're raised. And
Right, and sitting here, it's difficult to be open-minded to that, you know, especially when we're talking about gun control right after a mass shooting or something.
Right.
And I'm off the rails, you know, and then she's like, oh, these liberals, they're never gonna, they always use this as a political blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Right.
You know, but we're still, you know, at the end of the day, we're both there to support each other in our sort of weird little, you know, difference from sort of the regular cis sort of society.
From all the muggles.
Muggles.
You know,
Yeah. Well,
full little Harry Potter into it, you know.
Oh, always. Well, I mean, it's interesting because when I tend to compare, you know, the poly movement or the trans movement to the gay rights movement, and I mean, it's just gay people exist, right? And some of them are going to be born from conservative areas, and it's so. I mean, it just makes sense that, of course, like there are going to be people of trans people and gay people and poly people who are just born in conservative areas. It's not like we only spring up in like liberal
San Francisco,
areas.
LA,
yeah,
New
like
York.
that's where they're all born. They're not born anywhere else.
Right.
You come from California. When I went to Ohio, I got that occasionally. You're from California? Oh, okay, California.
You're going to try to bend me over?
And I'm like, you're not cute enough.
You're not cute enough. That's
You're not cute enough.
Don't make me put on a dress and punch you in the face. For instance.
Exactly.
Just as a random example. I feel like this like question about the differences in the 70s and 80s and 90s is not a question I should be asking.
Well, yeah. All right. For those of you who do not know, Jessalee is the youngest one on our co-hosts.
I am. I'm a millennial.
She's a millennial.
Proud
Millennial?
of it. I know. I'm sorry.
Own
I've
it.
infiltrated your group.
And she has the winged eyeliner too.
Oh,
I do.
That's a sign of a millennial. Right?
Is it?
I have avocado toast for most breakfasts, actually. That's not even an exaggeration. That's just a
I
fact.
didn't know that was a thing until like a month ago.
Yeah,
Really?
your
I'm
life
the
is sad.
Yeah.
your life is sad.
You need more avocado toast in your life. It's
Look,
delicious.
being in California, I love my avocados. So.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Just put it on everything. Anyway, so
Everything. Wait, is this are we talking about food now? Culinary podcast? Did we
our
just go off
eyes
the
locked,
rails?
and we knew we were no longer talking about just food.
But no, the difference is we saw the gay community come together and work together to try to make their lives better from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all the way to today, trying to pull back some of those rights. Right now, the current political party are trying to knock it down a little bit.
Right.
But we know that's going to swing back the other way as soon as that power is out of place. I don't know what
Hopefully.
it's doing.
Your screen is just typing commas.
Yes.
I'm sorry to take us on a tangent. It's just really weird, and I had to say something.
I'm just going to shut my screen because my screen is my computer's doing
Just
things
all the commas
in and of itself.
by itself.
And there we go.
Ghosts.
Yeah, it's being programmed. I think Madam has actually punched into it somehow, and yep. See, I'm sure
It's a
she's messing with
conspiracy.
my computer from over there. But the differences in moving towards the trans rights, and there's a lot of other groups. The the bi community, the trans, the poly, all these different bubbles are kind of, I hate to say it, on the backs of the gay community, who have kind of kicked open the door quite a bit.
Sure. Yeah.
We still have ways to go. I understand that, but I'm seeing progression, and I'm very encouraged, especially when 2015, when everything blew up. That was a great freaking year for a lot of civil rights for a lot of people.
I think it's hard. Really recently, over the past maybe 5 years, I've noticed that, within the trans community, I've noticed a very, very divisive, splintered sort of philosophy.
Really?
And it's difficult to deal with because it really drives us all apart. It's very so it tends to be some people who go full time and do the hormones and transition and present as their gender who they've always believed they are, the full timers basically. We'll say that. I've noticed a lot of them look at cross-dressers or other people who identify as somewhere on the spectrum, not fully male, fully female, and there's a lot of hate there.
Interesting.
Don't say that you're trans. You're not trans. You're just a cross-dresser. You're just a man in a dress. You're blah blah blah, and you're fetishizing blah 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 blah. And
Wow.
yeah, it's really
That's so tough when you get hate from people in your own community.
it's horrible.
Yeah, that's really tough.
And the funny thing is, wow, like, and I've experienced it on Facebook and other social media and in person. And my thing is, I'm one of your biggest supporters.
Of course.
Exactly.
Why would you do this?
Why are you doing this? I don't know.
yeah.
I don't get that. Hopefully that will resolve, and I think there will always be the extremists on any given issue.
It's like gay people towards bisexuals or
I
pansexuals.
think that's a very good analogy.
I think it's not embracing that things are a spectrum and kind of holding on to the idea that things are black and white. There's like a duality, and that's all there is.
You mentioned that the duality, like the sort of the binary thing. It's funny. On some of the websites for, like, if I've filled out a police report online before, and like Sacramento County. Okay, you go to the Sacramento County Sheriff's website. There's an online reporting form for a crime, whatever that's happened. And when you put down your name and address and all that and your gender, they have male, female, and transgender. Which initially I'm thinking that's fantastic. It's recognizing, it's acknowledging that there aren't just two genders. But I'm also thinking, is it realistic? Because is anybody going to put transgender?
Interesting.
Right? So
Yeah.
if I was transitioning to female, or if I already had, I wouldn't put transgender. I'd put female.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I still think it's a nice sort of
It's one of the stepping
fuzzy
stones on
little
some level, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Next thing I'd like to talk about is actually something that a lot of people who are not friends with trans people, transgender individuals, and that's the use of the proper pronouns, right? They, them, her, and him, her, however. And the way I've learned how to do it is just ask. That's the
Absolutely.
best way to do it.
Absolutely.
But I know people are having a hard time, or at least a lot of people still have a hard time trying to make that transition to changing the way that they think, because new words are coming up like they, which is singular.
Which is right, but they and them and their is a plural word, plural pronoun, and so just the way it's always been used. But now that it's being used more singularly, fantastic. If somebody wants to be called they, them,
Why
I'll
the
call-
hell not?
I wouldn't
I'll call you
them
whatever
anything
you
else.
want. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care.
This
I'll
is
call
not
you
up to
whatever you
me.
want. Yeah.
Right.
The asking can be difficult, though.
It can, and having the discomfort of getting past your, not mine, but someone's trying to figure out what to do. An older relative, a parent, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? That question is very twisted in their brains.
Absolutely.
Because if they've had a child raised as a male for 15, 20, 30 years, or
That
whatever,
child as
and now you have to switch, it
Right.
can
be difficult.
It can be difficult, yeah.
Well, a lot of people I've noticed just have the mentality of why do they want me to call them a different a different pronoun. I'm not going to pretend with them. And to me, that's so interesting because I feel like, for instance, like like I ask people to call me by a nickname. Jessalie's not my given name. I'll ask people to call me Jessalie. People have no problem with that. Like it's just a simple change in a word.
Right.
But because it's tied to gender, which is something that's so, like, it's such a taboo and it's such an ingrained part of our culture, people are like, no, absolutely, I'm not going to do what you want me to do just because you want me. Like, it's just so, it's such a weird concept. I don't know why people have such a hang up about it.
It's weird because, you know, you said your given name's not Jessalie. Right? So if one of us, somebody, you know, listening, were to find out, oh, her given name is Mark, why would they call you Mark?
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like, but it's
That doesn't make any sense, you know, unless it's people just trying to get you goat.
yeah.
You know, and be provocative and.
Yeah.
People are always calling me Sean, and I'm like, no, my name's Monkey.
So
Do you prefer Monkey?
Yeah, actually I do.
oh,
Okay.
snap.
Because I've called you Sean before, and I wasn't sure.
I respond to both, but
Okay.
but yeah.
Monkey.
If you prefer
That's what you
monkey
prefer.
shit.
There we
now
go.
I know.
If you prefer monkey shit,
Monkey shit.
comma.
jeez.
There was a good friend of mine, like my best friend, and he is in the same boat I am. So, and it's
That's
he's
awesome that you have a
female.
friend that, like, you guys,
Oh,
like, know it, you understand each other. That's so rad.
Yeah, we're like in one brain.
That's awesome.
His girl name is Vanessa. The nurse actually came in while I was there visiting him. Came in, and this was in San Francisco, keep in mind. And she asked my friend, "What's your pronoun preference?" I thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever.
That is really cool.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
she took the risk of offending him. She doesn't know, you know, but she wasn't sure because he displayed signs that are traditionally, you know, assigned in our heads to the female gender, but some that weren't. So
That's cool. That's
and
awesome.
he said, you know, call me he,
Nice.
and then it was no longer an issue.
Ah, that's so rad. I wish that would start happening.
San
more.
Francisco.
San Francisco's a different world.
Yeah,
San
but it
Francisco can be
is.
a model for many, 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 many things for this country.
Seriously.
Should be, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Let me ask you another question here. Some of the things that may be more important to you in the area of makeup and health and fashion, they take on a different role for you.
Right.
How are you addressing some of those things? You know.
When you say health,
Well, health, like additional exercise, working out. Are you doing things differently?
I see what
Because
you
the
mean.
reason I say this is I've seen you in some of your pictures in your dresses. Oh my God, you're just sexy
Aw,
and thin and beautiful.
She's blushing.
And what's that?
She's blushing.
Oh, good. And that's and I know men of a certain age, metabolism slowed down. So are you compensating for any of this with diet and exercise? I
Yes.
guess? Yeah.
I went
Do you
through.
like that, men of a certain age?
It's a minute. That's great.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Euphemism?
When I hit 30, I noticed I was gaining weight a lot more easily, and I was always a skinny kid. So you know, part of what factors into how I eat, exercise, all that stuff, is Jessica. How I present as Jessica. That's important to me. Now, I get it. There's the whole thing about, well, you know, women shouldn't be, you know, the way females appear shouldn't be dictated by blah 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 social. But you know, I still want to be skinny.
You can do whatever you want.
Right.
That's the thing. You do you.
But I also don't want to be overweight and you know, as a male. So, but you know, I've had to watch what I eat and all that too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm blowing kisses to the professor. No, actually, person beyond the professor.
Kisses are being blown.
I'm sorry, I missed
Blown
that.
Or
Is all our
blown
listeners
kisses.
need
I don't
to
know
know.
quite which way. So that's awesome. How about? I for some reason I just want to look in your closet to see what you have in there. I mean, do you have to have a separate closet because of you and your wife, or does Jessica have?
You just borrow her clothes all the time? Sorry, I just cut you off. I'm curious.
But-
no, it's
Uh,
yes. Most of what I wear when I'm Jessica now is my wife's.
Yeah,
I
makes
had
sense.
my own stash for years and years and years and years, and only because you know they've gone out of fashion have I purged them out and donated them and all that.
Yep.
But yeah, I still have, you know, a drawer with my own. I'm not going to borrow bras from my wife when I have detachable boobs, right? So all that specialty stuff is mine, hip pads and all that kind of stuff. And stuff sometimes she wants to wear something that I wouldn't wear, and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah.
So
of
I do
course.
have a few things. Makeup, she's very, very into makeup, and she's very good at it.
Oh, nice.
And so she'll do my makeup sometimes.
Oh, that's so handy.
But totally.
Yeah.
So I don't even have my own makeup stash anymore. For
Gotcha.
years and years, I had my whole, when I was living by myself and I was a bachelor, swinging bachelor, had so much makeup and a whole closet full of stuff. But yeah, being married, it's quite a different dynamic in a good way, I think.
That's awesome.
I have a little story. When I was a child, we would go visit my mother, and she was in the LGBT community. And at the time, one of her roommates, I would say he was a cross-dresser.
Okay.
Okay, but I was visiting my mother one day, and this beautiful woman walks in. Just huge personality, vivacious, beautiful, flowing blonde hair, big breasts, beautiful dress, high heels, the whole deal. And she walks into one of the rooms, and I'm like, wait, who is that? I'm probably 7, 8 years old. I'm like, who's that? And about a half hour later, this handsome guy comes walking out. and he's like, well, let's go get some beers. I'm like,
What's happening?
broke my little mind a little bit. But that was one of my more fun, because they made a joke out of it. They made it nothing. They just
Yeah.
that was me.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I have a different experience, as well as my real father actually transitioned.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
so cool.
And I actually I never got to meet him.
Oh.
He died when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
But yeah, he transitioned from 71 when I was born until 73 when he died.
Wow.
That's
He's quite a pioneer.
I was
Yes.
gonna say in the 70s.
That's
Yeah.
like just after the Christine Jorgensen. Wasn't that the 60s or 50s?
Yeah.
I don't know my trans
So,
history
but
well. I
still,
should.
having the understanding of my history, my sexual identity, knowing that at a young age, what does that mean to me, and how do I adjust my identities and my bisexuality and all that together? Is that my path? No, that wasn't my path. I know that I don't have that in me, but I know that it is part of my acceptance of others to say, my father, second mother, transitioned. I grew up in the gay community from the very young age, and I got to see a lot of wonderful, wonderful things. So I have a very different point of view about gay, bi, LGBT support.
Right.
So
Did you find that was more difficult to accept that was your reality and not the reality of many of your friends, and assuming it wasn't?
Well, yes, I had a lesbian mother, so I got to go visit her and all of her gay friends. I knew this wasn't normal. I knew this was outside of what all of my friends at school had, because I'd go visit them, and they father, mother, and siblings. So it was fringe. And so I've always been attracted to the fringe aspects of it, of the progressive, the liberal, the accepting of other people in many different ways,
Right.
from sexuality to beliefs to pulling all this together brought me to build up Sac Poly, create a nudie magazine, as I did in the
Steampunk?
steampunk magazine,
Okay.
and now this. So for me, it's just a progression of things throughout my life that I've been trying to help normalize, because I did share it at school.
Yeah.
I tell kids, my mom has a girlfriend,
Oh.
Yeah.
and
That's
they
so
would be
cool.
like, what?
And this was in the 80s,
Yeah,
70s and 80s.
Wow. Oh, that's a tough time to.
yeah.
Wow.
So I would bring that up, and they're like, wow, what does that mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? It doesn't mean anything to me, but if it means something to you, I'll talk to you. And so I shared it with my friends, and they're like, okay, whatever.
Good for you.
Yeah, seriously.
That's his reality. Let's go play video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go get the Atari out, and
Yeah.
then we're just right back to being kids.
Right.
But yeah, it was something and I guess I was just trying to push to see in my own world, because it felt so weird coming from, because I lived with my father and stepmother, to step into this world on an occasion to go, is that normal? And it became more normal the more I did it, obviously, and the more I accepted the positive things in those worlds.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool.
Wow, that is really
I
cool.
just remember when I was about, 12 or 13, it seems, and I first heard about this thing called a gay pride parade, and this is in Fresno, okay? This gay pride parade, So I'm thinking I would never, this was 13-year-old me or 12-year-old me, I would never want to go anywhere near that.
No.
Because I thought that people would, this is like so funny now that I'm thinking about it. I thought that people would walk around with syringes full of AIDS and they would inject you with
Oh
it.
my god. When was it? Like, what time
horrific?
era was this?
What's
For
that?
context, what time era was this? So you're 13?
This was mid-'80s.
Mid-'80s. Shit. See, I'm a millennial. I was born in the 90s, and so I was just not alive during that time when there was just this association I have learned with being gay and AIDS. That I guess, correct me if I'm wrong here, but there was just such an association with it.
Totally.
Syringes full of AIDS.
They were inseparable.
Yeah.
Right.
God, that's so crazy.
Oh, he's gay? Oh, he has AIDS.
AIDS.
Or he has AIDS, must be gay.
Well, my mother
Magic
actually
Johnson?
took me to her friend's bedside to visit some of her friends who were dying from AIDS at that time as well. So I got to experience that level of my mother just bawling and helping her friend through that transition of his life. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it was a totally different era, and you can go back and look at how it was ignored for so long, and how it was vilified and all these things. And, you know, the gay cancer, as it was
Right.
called. So,
Yep. Totally different ball game now.
well, let's lighten this back up because we got really heavy.
And we got to AIDS and
Well, we're about 48 minutes in, is what I'm guessing. We had one more question on that list.
yeah.
I'm
So
gonna let you ask it.
great. So I feel like I already know the answer to this, but
Yeah.
have you found self-acceptance, and if so, how?
Yes. And
That's awesome.
how, really, I mean, I have the internet to thank more than anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, in like 1995, I remember I had AOL, you know, you'd get off the phone, I'm going to get online.
Yep.
Hang up the phone.
That was my childhood.
Welcome. You've got mail. Of course, it was 5 minutes of that first. There was this chat room, and I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was a bunch of people under the trans umbrella, cross-dressers and such. And once I discovered, oh my God, this is actually a thing. Like, there's other people that do this, and this is part of other people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, going off to college, I went to UC Davis and met a really good friend of mine at the time. Also was married, and he dressed up and went to campus. You know, he was a grad student at the time. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually a thing. And going out to Faces and all the, you know, the bars here in Sacramento and other places. Just knowing that there's other people and they have their own struggles, whether it's trans related or, you know, other things that maybe aren't related. We're all kind of in this together.
Yeah.
And I actually have it pretty good. That things could be a lot worse than being you know, having sort of two identities that are different genders. You know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky.
Oh, that's a really cool revelation. That's the thing about community, is it at the very least
Networking,
you're like,
yeah.
I'm not alone. This is an
Yes.
actual thing.
That
And
was
then
the
it,
start.
you know, at best it just helps you kind of navigate through you know, any kind of transition or realization you're having. You're
We're
having
creating words here.
The
on
Happening,
BCBC.
a new
The
film
Happening.
by M.
The
Night
Happening.
Shyamalan.
That sounds horrible. Like a horror movie.
It
The
does.
Happening?
The Happening. Oh shit.
Oh shit. What would it be about? I swear to God. I thought we were going to get through a whole episode without him doing that.
Roy.
No. I'm just going to drink my water.
Ronky.
To our listeners, I'm sorry. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
jeez. People have been apologizing for me for years. It's all right. It doesn't do any good, right? I just keep coming back with this. Is there anything else you want to share? I mean, we can hold things over for next time you come on, and then we'll beat you up about other topics. But
You know, yeah, real quick. I was talking about the divisiveness within the trans community. You know, there's the basically the part-timers and full-timers. Okay,
Right.
and that's for purposes of ease, I'll call it that. You know, I think that coming from a place of trying to be understanding of where they're coming from, the full-timers, they don't have the privilege, this sort of cis privilege that I can jump back into.
Right.
Right. They go to the grocery store. They might get a comment. If somebody clocks them, for lack of a better term. I'm holding up air quotes when I say clocks.
Oh, that's a dude.
I've heard that before when I've been out as Jessica, and it's not fun. But I don't have to hear it every day, everywhere I go.
Right.
And so, those people trying to differentiate themselves from the part-timers, I get it, right? Your struggle is nothing like I could ever imagine.
Right.
But at the same time, we're all on the same team here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably just trying to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
They've had some struggles. It's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you have the power to identify however you want to identify, and I don't think anyone should be able to take that away from you.
Hallelujah.
Pew, pew, pew.
And that's a great way to end this.
Pew, pew,
Finger
pew.
guns.
Jessica, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, as I said, to our listeners, we'll be bringing Jessica back time and time again.
I love that.
And especially for the live show, maybe you can come full Jessica.
Full Jessica.
When are we talking?
Down the road.
Down
Okay,
the
down the road.
road.
Count it. Yeah. Consider it done. I would love
Okay.
that.
Hell yeah. Hell
Yes.
yeah.
You want to say goodbye?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Jessica. It was
Thank you so
awesome.
much. Thank
No,
you
no,
so
not
much.
you.
fun.
Not you. Not you.
Oh, bye, listeners.
them.
Oh, you guys are still here?
Yeah, I'm giving you a sign out. Oh, you guys are still here? You creepers.
Bye.
You just going to say bye?
She's sorry for monkey.
Say no.
All
Nothing
right.
is good enough for you.
Nothing's good enough for me. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us a like. Go out to our Facebook page at facebook.com/BCBC podcast. Also, don't forget, please go out to our Patreon page because that's going to help us make this show even better. Support us every month. There's great prizes and great elements. There's great things on there. We got stickers. We got T-shirts. You can buy drinks for us during the show. A whole bunch of stuff on there that you're able to give us a little bit of schmeckles every month. We'll make the show even better all the time. Short of that, I think I don't have any other call outs. Oh, yes, I do. Let's give a thank you to who's the podcast?
Oh, Dirty Garage Studios.
Dirty Garage Studios. Check them out for
Yes.
a nice lineup of fun shows.
Great podcast.
Great
Some
podcast.
great comedy podcasts, I hear.
Also want to thank the wonderful people at Lucky Bloke. If you have a chance, please go to luckybloke.com. You're able to order condoms and have them delivered right to your door. So let's say, for example, you're polyamorous. You have multiple partners, and they have different sizes, as it were.
Preferences.
You're able to set up your order however you like and have those come directly to you every month. No more going to the store. No more trying to figure out what to do online. They will actually help you make that happen. Number three is Midtown Moxies. Midtown Moxies, one of the best burlesque troupes here in Sacramento. I love them. Batty Brule is the leader of that troupe, and she does a great job. If you have a chance, go out to either the Facebook page or look them up online, Midtown Moxies, and show up to the Moxie Crush the next time they have it. They just had it just this week. There'll be another one next month. So that's about it. Thank you for listening, and this is Monkany.
He doesn't even know who he is.
I don't even know
The
why.
Happening.
The Happening.
This is The Happening. Signing off.
Starring. Fucked up your sign off. Sorry.
It's supposed to be weird. It's fine.
Are we off?
Yeah.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow. This is fun.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.